This show is brought to you by dogs. You want to say anything? No. Hey everybody, today is June 13th, so we're looking at June 12th MTG stocks. We have thousands of percent increases and 500 plus percent increases. There's a lot of stuff here. This is after Core 2021 has been revealed a little bit, not all of it, I don't believe, and then also the rules change where Commander death triggers now actually apply instead of them not applying. However, I'm just going to go over one tonight because there's quite a bit of details on it, and the one we will be looking at tonight is the Boggart Harbinger. This is a kind of an interesting one. So, let's go ahead and get into it. Boggart Harbinger. This is a 2 colorless black 2/1 creature goblin shaman. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a goblin card, reveal it, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. So this is kind of a weird one because this went from 39 cents to 738. So that's a pretty huge increase, uncommon from Lorwyn, never been reprinted before. But it seems that there is a semi-reason for this. So this is Lorwyn had a lot of these for like goblins, I think elves, merfolks, and basically, just tutor a card, tutor a creature card, goblin in this case, to the top of your library. The reason why this is so good is because there is a infinite combo. Who would have thought that you can now do with this? And I will say that I got this from MTG stocks. They have like a little article every week talking about kind of like the price increases. So I'll put that in the description. So if you want to read more into what has increased and etc., you can do that. But I'm going to go ahead and explain what this infinite combo is and why this card was bought out and prices increased. I'm going to put a little disclaimer here. Disclaimer, I don't know. But I feel like this probably won't really stick. I've seen stuff like this happen before, and it seems kind of like janky, but maybe it'll stick around. I also just noticed that the guy has a slug on his head, which is pretty adorable. Anyways, so how this works is we have to look at the new Core 2021 set, and that's where this infinite combo kind of stems from. So from Core 2021, we have a new guy called Conspicuous Snoop. This is a red creature goblin rogue. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may cast goblin spells from the top of your library. As long as the top card of your library is a goblin card, this guy has all activated abilities of that card. And he's also a 2/2. That seems like a pretty good combination there. We have this guy, and then we have Boggart Harbinger, which brings a goblin card to the top of your library. Okay, well, seems pretty good. How do you break it? And the way you do this is once you play Conspicuous Snoop, then you play Boggart Harbinger. And as long as Conspicuous Snoop has at least haste, or you've had him out for a turn, which, since the mana curve is 2 for Conspicuous Snoop, man, it's hard for me to say for some reason, and then 3 for Boggart Harbinger, you can potentially have this combo out on turn 3. So, and I believe this would be modern, I think, yeah, this should be modern legal. So what you bring out is Kiki-Jiki. Who would have thought? Kiki-Jiki, breaking things. Whoa. But Kiki-Jiki, if you don't know what this is a 2 colorless red legendary creature goblin shaman. It has haste, and then it has tap. Create a token that's a copy of target non-legendary creature you control, except it has haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So now we have the idea of you have Conspicuous Snoop out. You played Boggart Harbinger. You bring Kiki-Jiki to the top of your library, and now Conspicuous Snoop, as long as it has haste or not summoning sickness, you can activate Kiki-Jiki's ability. Because it says as long as the top card of your library is a goblin card, Conspicuous Snoop has all activated abilities of that card. So now what you do is you tap Conspicuous Snoop using Kiki-Jiki's ability, and you make a copy of Conspicuous Snoop. Now that you've done that, you will keep doing that because you make a copy of Conspicuous Snoop. That one comes into play, and then that token has haste, so that's a big part of Kiki-Jiki's ability. I was almost wondering for a second, wait, how does that work? But yeah, so that token has haste, and so now since that token has haste and has Kiki-Jiki's ability because of Conspicuous Snoop, you basically just make infinite Conspicuous Snoops if you want. But you're like, okay, I have infinite creatures, but they're all tapped. What do I do with them? Of course, there's a lot of ways you can do this. But if you want to get it all done on that same turn, what you can then do is once you've copied your enough Conspicuous Snoops, you then finally, on your last Conspicuous Snoop copy, you'll actually copy Boggart Harbinger one more time. The reason you do that is since you are making a token of that creature, he then comes into play, and then you get to actually tutor a new creature. So what you do then is you tutor up on the top of your library Bog Fanatic. Bog Fanatic is a red creature goblin. It's 1/1, and you can sacrifice it, and it deals 1 damage to any target. So now all your Conspicuous Snoops will have the activated ability of sacrifice it, and it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. I guess actually any target. It does 1 damage to any target. So if you have a million Conspicuous Snoops, then you can use Bog Fanatic's ability and deal 1,000,000 damage to anything you want. And that's kind of the whole rundown of everything. As a lot of explanation, but it is a very interesting combo. I guess you could do this in Commander if you wanted to. I mean, there's probably better ways, I feel. I don't know. Maybe it's not that bad, because I guess you basically just need to get... It's a two card combo. So that's one thing you have to think about, is that you only need Boggart Harbinger and Conspicuous Snoop. However, the other bad thing is that if you've drawn Kiki-Jiki or Bog Fanatic, then your loop's not going to work quite as well. Of course, you could put in other ways to do stuff and etc., but it seems like in EDH, it's not that it's not viable, it's just going to be... It feels more janky. It's still going to be really good if you get it off, but you're just going to put a lot of different win conditions, I would say, because it just seems a little bit unstable. Maybe. There's ways you can do it, I'm sure. But aside from that, for Modern, I don't know enough about this. It's a really cool turn 3 combo, but I mean, if they kill off your Conspicuous Snoop or whatever, or if they can mill you or etc., it kind of ruins everything. It also should bring in the light here that since Conspicuous Snoop costs red, and Boggart costs 2 colorless and a black, that means you're going to have to make sure that you actually do have your double red on turn 2, and you're going to have a black on turn 3, which maybe not be that hard in Modern, but regardless, that's something you have to think about. Alright. Hopefully I explained that well. Let's go ahead and move on to the next card. This will be our Commander of the Night. And our Commander of the Night will be Rin and Seri, Inseparable. This is why the puppy sponsored this video today. He's a good puppy. So, Rin and Seri, the Inseparable, is a 1 colorless, red, green, white, or Naya colors. It is a legendary creature, dog cat. It's a 4/4, and whenever you cast a dog spell, create a 1/1 green cat creature token. Whenever you cast a cat spell, create a 1/1 white dog creature token. So as you can imagine, this is going to be really, really heavily focused on dogs and cats. Who would have thought? But it has one more ability, which is red, green, white, or just Naya. Tap it, and it deals, or they, I should say, deal damage to any target equal to the number of dogs you control. You gain life equal to the number of cats you control. It's kind of interesting in the sense of, because I mean, who doesn't like dogs and cats in this sense of, I feel like a lot of people want, like cute, adorable animal commanders. I mean, like everybody really wanted the Lutri. Is that right? The otter, everybody wanted that, but banned, so I can't do that. But this is interesting because it gives, like the archetype of dog cat. The only thing I'm going to complain about here is that as much as I do like this archetype and I do like tribal, I feel like there's not really enough dogs and cats. I will say that they are putting more into the core 2021 set, so that is good. But I feel like there is not going to be a ton of build diversity. in the sense of like you're basically going to put the best dogs and the best cats in there. And I mean, why wouldn't you? It's dog cat tribal. And so it's something you have to think about of like, okay, if I build this deck, everybody else will have nearly the same kind of deck. Maybe. I could be wrong in that. But that's one thing that's kind of like, okay, just because it's so like specific, you have to really kind of, it's just something to think about. And that may or may not deter you. But to kind of go against that, I want to do something a little bit different for my synergy card of the night. I want to do like, okay, you know, it makes sense to go full token, sort of like make cats, make dog, or cast cats, cast dogs, make tokens, bring back creatures that you can to your hand, and then recast them and get more tokens and blah, blah, blah. But I think a really other neat idea that you could do is, of course, you'll want to make tokens because that's kind of like the big thing of Rin and Seri. But the cool thing you could do is, here's the synergy card. This is Fury Stroke Giant. Is a 3 colorless red. Is a creature giant warrior. It's a 3/3. And when it enters the battlefield, other creatures you control gain tap. This creature deals 2 damage to any target until end of turn. And then it has persist. And persist is when it dies, if it had no -1, -1 counters, wow, on it, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a -1 counter on it. So basically, you can, you know, bring this out, and assuming you have a token deck here, which we're going to assume that you're going to be semi-token, but this allows you to kind of like ping out people with those tokens. And I think it's a really cool idea to make Rin and Seri kind of like this pinger deck. And there's probably a lot of ways to do this. Like I said, you'll want to make a lot of tokens and then get stuff that's like Fury Stroke Giant or additional things that will help you do this. Maybe you could do potential like sacrifice stuff, but you know, if you're sacrificing dogs and cats, you're going to probably feel like a terrible person, so you probably shouldn't do that. But I just kind of like this archetype of going a little bit beyond just mass tribal and tokens, because you know this actually does play a little bit into Rin and Seri's ability of, you know, where you tap it and you deal that much damage equal to the number of dogs you control. So this is kind of it's still in the same realm of what Rin and Seri want to do, but you're just kind of really pushing that of being a pinger-esque deck. I don't know how much Naya really does that. You know, they're usually like brute strength. I'm not sure about pinging and stuff, but I think it's still a pretty cool idea. And then kind of the card that can tie this in together, and also just to highlight a core 2021 card, because why not, is going to be Fiery Emancipation. This is a 3 colorless red enchantment, so pretty heavy cost. But if a source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals triple that damage to that permanent or player instead. So when you have Fury Stroke Giant, and let's just say you have like, even if you only had like 4 tokens out that are able to tap that turn, which I would recommend giving haste to them if possible, even if you only had 4 creature tokens, since each one would be doing 2 damage using Fury Stroke Giant's ability, then basically with Fiery Emancipation, each one will be doing 6 damage. So that'd be 24 damage with just 4 creature tokens. So I think that's like a really cool combination to do, and then you can really play off pinging effects or things in general. You know, like there's a lot of things I feel like you could do with that. So that's kind of like the Rin and Seri highlight I want to do, is that, you know, it's fun to think kind of outside of the, I guess, main thing that you could, and probably is the best thing to do, honestly, is, you know, just go full make tokens as much as you can and cast things and blah, blah, blah. But I think giving it a little bit more of a twist or a little bit more of a sub theme can really like make it stand out. And I guess maybe that's obvious, but whatever. So with that, I think we can go to our random cards in the night, and I may just do one yet again. We'll see here. So our first random card of the night is Skargan Skybreaker. This is a 4 colorless red green creature giant shaman. This has Bloodthirst 3. Bloodthirst is if an opponent was dealt damage this turn, this creature enters the battlefield with 3+1/+1 counters on it. So, you know, if you ping somebody and then you do damage, he comes into play with 3+1/+1 counters. So instead of being a 3/3, he'd be a 6/6. And then you can also pay 1, sacrifice it, and it deals damage equal to its power to any target. That's pretty cool. You we just talked about the Rin and Seri, and this could be a card you could put in there. I mean, this is like the whole idea of, like with Rin and Seri, you could even make it to where you're more focused on, you want to generate tokens. But you could also do like +1/+1 counters. And if you put Skargan in there, then you can potentially really make this beefed up and make all your tokens beefed up, and then blah blah blah. And I'm not saying you should put him in there because he's not really dog. I guess the ogre wasn't either. I don't know how we got back on Rin and Seri, but it seemed to fit, so I'm going to stick with that. Synergy card. I mean, honestly, this is, since it's I call it synergy card, but a card that'd be cool to play with this card would just be, and with Bloodthirst, like I said, Pinger. So, you know what? The synergy card is Rin and Seri. Full bam. Because, I mean, at least with Rin and Seri, you can pay 3 to deal 1 damage, because technically Rin and Seri is a dog and its ability, and it seems pretty expensive to deal 1 damage. But whatever. Sure. Let's get another one. I feel like we could do a little bit more. So for our another card for the night, we have Hesperia the Inscrutable. This is a 1 colorless white, blue, blue legendary creature, Sphinx. It's a 3/6 with flying, and whenever this guy or girl deals combat damage to a player, choose a card name. That player reveals their hand. If a card with the chosen name is revealed this way, search your library for a creature card with flying, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Okay, so this card is pretty interesting. I feel like this would be a harder commander to do. I could be wrong. I think I'm wrong. Yeah, there's actually a few ways to do this. So basically, you attack with her, deal combat damage, and then the problem is here is that you have to name a card in their hand. Now, the easy thing to do is that since it doesn't say non-land, you can try to choose like island or whatever they have, whatever colors are running, and try to do it that way. And that's an okay way to do it. It's like usually they're going to be playing lands, so once you get this out in the first couple of turns, they're probably not gonna have as many lands in their hand unless they're just mana flooded, I guess. Whatever. So I don't know if calling a land is always the best idea, but what you could do is have cards that always reveal hands. That'd be a lot easier on you. Okay, I looked up a couple of cards, and there are a couple of cards that do this. So the ones I'm going to highlight here is Wandering Eye, which is a 2 colorless blue creature illusion, 1/3 flying. So it's good that it's flying because you can tutor it out if you really need it. Of course, now the ability here is players play with their hand revealed. So if you're attacking, then you'd probably want to have this out prior. But if you have knowledge using other tactics of their hand, it'd be good to have this guy out or be able to tutor him out just to make sure you always know what's in their hand. So that's something to think about. So a good way to make sure you always know what's in someone's hand. The other card I want to kind of highlight here is called Search Warrant. This is a white-blue sorcery. Target player reveals their hand. You gain life equal to the number of cards in that player's hand. So, this is, if you're in a desperate situation and you really need some life, there's always that. But of course, the main thing here is that you get to see their hand and then be able to call it out with your Hesperia. I'm going to say overall, though, that this seems like commander-wise you could do this. There are, some blue cards and probably some artifacts that do this, where you can see people's hands, or you can reveal the top card of people's library so that you know what they're going to draw, and etc. But I feel like this is really wanting to be put into a black deck as well. So like maybe Esper or something, because black seems to deal a lot more with just revealing hands in general. So I don't know how good of a commander this will be, but I can still see it be pretty interesting and being a, kind of a Azorius flying tribal. So more aggro than control, I'd say. So I always like to see Azorius aggro because sometimes that flying gets real spooky real quick. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Look, 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 there's that. Yeah. What do you think, guys? Are you?